Hey everyone, welcome back to the MycoMeditations YouTube channel. I'm Eric Osborne, founder of MycoMeditations, a legal psilocybin retreat in Treasure Beach, Jamaica.
Hello everyone, my name is Justin Townsend. I'm a partner and lead facilitator at MycoMeditations, and today we'll be talking to you about the value of the group psychedelic experience.
That's right, Justin. Because of the laws around psychedelics in most countries, it's made it challenging, if not impossible, to have a large group psychedelic experience. The best comparison that most people have is a festival. Fortunately at MycoMeditations, we've been able to see firsthand the benefit of larger groups coming together and intentionally working with psychedelics therapeutically.
Indeed, one of the first things we see as to where the value is that as people begin to share amongst each other their reasons for taking psychedelics and the challenges they're facing in life, or have indeed faced with their mental health conditions, just the sharing of that condition alone helps the other people present to recognize that they're not so isolated, they're not the only people dealing with these issues, and it helps us all to feel a lot less isolated.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of stigma around mental health and a reluctancy for people to talk about some of the challenges that they have faced, which we all have, every single one of us. And what we see again and again, just like you say, is that as people share their experiences and become vulnerable, then that allows other people within the group to do the same. Really showing how encouragement of each other is such a crucial part of the human experience in improving our mental health. Indeed,
I would say that in the same way that, maybe confession to your priest certainly was an unburdening. People have a lot of secrets and stuff that they carry around, their baggage, things they're ashamed of, rightly or wrongly, and their ability to trust themselves to talk about these issues with other people is absolutely essential to their ability to continue to heal when they're working with psychedelics.
And it's hard enough to do that in the group experience, much less in your own private experience, or if you have a solo, like I have many times had solo experiences back in the States, and there was no one to talk to, and after the experience and as that window of openness closed, I became even more reluctant to share those vulnerabilities. And so seeing and having people together in a group and really fully engaging with that exponentially increases the benefit.
Exactly, and if you're doing this as a group over a period of a few days with dosing every other day or so, you begin as a group of strangers more often than not, but guaranteed after you've got through that first dose together, you're all going to be rooting for each other.
Absolutely.
And that sense of rooting for each other, the comradeship, the support you get, everybody being in the same boat together, everybody facing their fears and calling upon their courage to do this is a very, very strong bonding experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm thinking of within the direct experience, how many times we have seen the release of someone in the group, possibly even at a distance, has an impact on others within the group and feeling okay to just let it go.
Yeah, I remember one gentleman we had from Australia in his late 70s that we worked with last year, and he'd suffered with chronic depression his entire life. He'd been through electric shock therapy, lost memory because of that, tried various different medications, but long story short, within the group environment, he was able to show his shame to people. And what this meant was he'd carried this shame around for so many years, and it was on his third and final dose. He'd had a pretty substantial dose of about 16 dry grams of psilocybin, and he was laying down, face down, in a circle of his fellow trippers. And he said, I hate to do this, but I'm going to show you all my shame now. And he rolled onto his back and just laid there in front of everybody, and he sobbed his heart out. But boy, after that, did he walk with shoulders back, chest out, and just fully present, and that so much of that shame was gone again.
Beautiful, beautiful. It reminds me of another individual that I've worked with in these groups who said that his kind of mantra through the week is that there's sickness is in the secrets.
Yes.
And so coming together as a group and revealing ourselves to ourselves, sharing the human condition with our fellow humans is so much in how we grow through these experiences, not just thinking in terms of healing, but in terms of growth for the entire species.
Yeah. One of the common things that we see when people are tripping together is you've got this natural symphony of noises around you. Of course, we're based in Jamaica, but you could be at home in a city somewhere like that. But the symphony that we get to hear is the sound of the waves on the beach, the wind rustling in the palm trees. But of course, there can be goats making their noise.
The goats first.
There could be a motorcycle revving up. And I remember one particular retreat, Eric, that you and I were doing last year at Blue Marlin. And it was a 50-50 mix of male and female. And there happened to be this really loud sound of a baby crying, which you would think, oh, that's very disruptive, it's taking me out of my space. And as we always say to people, you're not always going to hear what you want to hear, but they're going to take you to certain memories that you had or bring up stuff that you'd long forgotten about. Well, in this case, fast forward to the next day, we had the integration session, and 3 of the women all revealed in the integration session that the sound of the baby crying had taken them back to their late teens and early 20s when they'd all had abortions. And one after the other, in tears, these women explained how they thought that they'd made their peace with the abortion that they'd had, and quite clearly they weren't at peace with that. There were tears, there were emotions, but there was a very healthy emotional closing of an event that had happened almost 2 decades ago for all 3 of them.
And what that, for me, fascinates me, and seeing time and time again in the group experience again, is how there's almost very often some synchronistic gathering of people.
Yeah.
3 women, you know, there are odds, and this was a group of, say, 12 or 15, and it was a 50-50 split. I remember the group, like you said, but still, that's pretty. Yeah. And seeing groups of, say, alcoholics come together, and it wasn't intentional, but others, that is there. So when you're recalling these 3 ladies, you know, they're having these individual experiences, and they're not aware of each other's experience. No. They come together, and there was the same trigger that had the same, you know, kind of effect on each of them. But then we have instances where someone's outburst or emotional release will trigger someone else's. And I have one really. This example can't leave my mind, so I guess I need to share it. But it was a situation where a group within a 30-foot diameter circle, away from everybody, but you know, still within the space of the lawn where we were. And you know, the mushroom yawns. Many people are familiar with the mushroom yawns.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're contagious, right?
Sympathetic.
But I remember these 2 individuals who were at opposing ends of the space, and they were yawning. I was sitting in the center, not in the center of the circle, but kind of in between the 2, on the edge of the circle of people, and they were yawning in tandem. Oh. Yeah. And you could feel that there was some exchange. It was not. It wasn't just a yawn that was catchy. Yeah. It didn't move within the group and move around. It was almost like a metronome of the experience. Yep. And as we have these group experiences, then we have this amazing opportunity to study things that we don't even have a context for. We don't, for something, and that's these are rather small examples compared to some of the very strange and more weird examples, but I think these are ripe areas for study. Yeah. There's so many of these kinds of things that we can talk to, and again, I think, you know, synchronicities are not confined to the group experience, but when it is contained within the group experience, then again, it just amplifies the value and the takeaways for everybody.
Yeah, and this leads on because as you form these really deep and close bonds with this group that you're tripping with, maybe over the space of a week, if that's the case, the continued dialogue that happens with that group after you've all gone your separate ways is really powerful. The ability to support each other, to be there for each other. You've all come to know each other intimately over the course of those few days you spend together facing your fears and confronting your challenges. So, you know, sharing the challenges, your successes, your highlights, your failures, is essential as a part of the ongoing psychedelic integration process as well within a group.
Which the value again of the group in the integration process cannot be underestimated as well. And that's there have been small groups that I've worked with abroad at times, you know, back in previous history, and even now here with the groups and the group experiences that we are a part of through MycoMeditations, seeing that continued support over months, because it takes months, years to unpack these experiences.
Exactly. And you know, one thing is always essential, right? You can get great, amazing revelations and insights from your psychedelic experience, but if that's not combined with doing the work, then the chances are it won't lead you very far. But if you combine the psychedelic revelations that you get, the cognitive insights, the emotional breakthroughs, with the willingness to do the work, then it's a 1 and 1 equals 3 scenario.
And if we have a group of people who we work with, then that accountability is built in to it. And one of the things that has been so amazing to me seeing over the years with groups in particular is that you cannot dose psilocybin or other psychedelics with a group of people, particularly a few times, and not develop some real love and compassion for those people. And you actually care and you want to follow up with them. And so the nature of how the openness and the connectivity that provides for that network for continued support, because just like you said, it is so hard to go back after these experiences and face some of the things that we need to face. And whether that's just daily exercise routine or dietary change or confronting some really challenging relationships, like you said, those bonds that we form within the group experience are just going to be further supports as we go forward and grow from those experiences.
Exactly. And not everybody's willing to embrace and accept the new version of us after a psychedelic retreat either. So, for example, individuals that suffer with alcohol addiction, a big part of that addiction is woven into their daily existence and their social lives. They're used to having a few drinks at lunchtime with their friends, or maybe secretively having a drink while still at work, coming home, and their entire life is revolving around alcoholism. So when they come and they have a psychedelic experience and that need for alcohol is massively reduced, which we often see time and time again, if not completely reduced, then the question becomes, how does that individual go back to their normal life and their usual patterns that all involve in some way, shape or form consuming alcohol? So when they can no longer participate in those groups again, they need to better replace it with something, and that's where the group collective experience and that ongoing support is essential.
Well, I think it's just real quick, I'd like to tip the hat to Alcoholics Anonymous, which has psychedelic origins and is a great example of the power of group therapy.
Absolutely. What I'd also add, social anxiety. Now, a lot of people actually drink alcohol because it takes the edge off and it helps them become more social. And yet, when you see people turn up to participate in group psychedelic work, one of their biggest fears is opening up and speaking to people and speaking their truths. It's like, if I do this, I'm going to face a mini death in some way. So, you know, you'll see people come in arms folded in an emotionally defensive kind of manner, eyes looking at the ground, not making eye contact. And if you try and engage with them, the most you're going to get is a yes or no answer to begin with. But generally, I think we all find after that second dose, what we tend to see is this light come in people's eyes, shoulders back, chest out, and they're making eye contact, and now they're engaging and they're having conversation. And I remember one guest we had a few months ago who suffered with social anxiety in a really, really bad way, and he was having interactions with all of our guests, and he said, wow, this is what it's like to interact with people. It's really interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I've not done this for 15 years. We see that time and time again.
And those are the people that are often most reluctant to have a group psychedelic experience, but who, like you said, are the ones who benefit from it the most. Now, one of the, as you speak, and I do want to just point out that the relief often comes significantly after the experience. I have worked with a number of clients who came with severe social anxiety, to these group sessions, and that was a huge challenge for them. And it took actually months for them to really truly open up to the group, and seeing people come back 6 months after a group session and share a moment of vulnerability with the group and say, I didn't share this with you all when we were all together, but because we're still connected and because I see everyone continuing to support each other, then they are able to truly open themselves up. So it's a beautiful thing that we're seeing psychedelics become more mainstream. It really is. It will be truly wondrous when we can engage with this process fully as a community in the open. Because that's where all healing and all growth takes place. Hiding ourselves, not being a part of a community or a group, thinking that somehow we're not worth it. Those are all lies that we've told ourselves. And we all, if we're not telling ourselves that, then we're probably telling ourselves that everybody needs us and that we're the extreme the other way.
Yep.
And if that's the case, then again, the group can put the thing in check and help us realize that we're all in this together and we have to have each other to get through this.
Yeah, and the group within itself is often self-regulating. I've seen guests that don't have one iota of training in therapy or coaching be able to relate so well to another guest's situation, talk them through it and say, hey, I've been through that too. Here was my experience. Here was how I managed it. That's worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The healers are being healed. We're all, like I said, we're all just doing this together.
Yep.
And Justin, it's been really great having this conversation with you.
Likewise. Thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. Thanks for all you bring to MycoMeditations. Audience, community, thank you for being a part of this. We strongly encourage you to reach out to the community around you. And as we're able to re-engage slowly with each other, I hope that we can let go of some of the fear and probably paranoia that's building right now. We're all in this together. We're all here with and for each other. We'll be back again to share some great content, great conversations. Thanks for tuning in.